Welcome back to another video for our networking. Now, thank you if you watched the last video for network command line tools. What we're going to get into today is our network analysis software, and we're going to talk about a few different things. We're going to get deep, but not like super duper deep. I mean, I could get that, but nonetheless, I'm just going to go over very briefly some Wi-Fi analysis software, some network bandwidth analysis, some network protocol and port analysis, some IP analysis applications, right? Now, particularly for network admin, right? They can use network analysis software to measure the performance of the network. Now, several different types of software are available that can be used to perform specific functions. And this also, of course, includes the measurement of latency on the network between different devices and the available bandwidth. If you've watched my other videos and it says, hey, you have to do via long polling because your your latency on the network isn't that great. And so we need to wait. We need a way to basically make this a bit better so you have a bit of a better experience. This is kind of like in a similar vein, but we're going to be using Internet Speed Analyzer. We're going to be measuring IP bandwidth with iPerf. We're also going to use network port analysis tools, and we're going to use the terminal emulator software as well as scanning the IP host IP allocation. I'm surprised it's actually taking this long to actually load our servers here so we can get to our first exercise. But over the years, corporate networks have evolved to incorporate Wi-Fi access points for employees and visitors to connect to the network. And typically, to ensure the connectivity and security of these WAPs, specific software needs to be used to analyze and monitor these access points, right? So you can use something like a Wi-Fi signal analyzer, right? And Microsoft provides their free application to do this that can be downloaded and installed naturally on the Windows device, right? And the application can be used to detect and analyze the different available Wi-Fi access points due to restrictions in this lab. Wireless access points are not available, but the application can be demonstrated and downloaded through the Microsoft Store. And so I'll place you guys. I'm not sure exactly what's going on here, but I'll figure it out. I'll place you guys on the other side so we can go ahead and get started. We're taking a look at network bandwidth analysis. Now we're going to run the internet speed analyzer. Now to test the speeds, the network speed, online applications are available to test the speed of the internet provided by the ISP. So we're going to be using a speed test. I actually used this for years. I used to work at a telecommunications company, and folks would call in about their speed, and then I would provide them various speed test sites to make sure that they understand that they're getting the proper speed that they're paying for, as well as other devices that may be on the network that could potentially slow down that speed. So now we're at the speedtest.net, so we can actually start it, right? And the website can be used to test the internet speed of the network. If this information can determine like any latency or problems with the ISP potentially, usually internal, usually. But it looks like I'm getting about, at least through the filter of this lab, I'm getting about uh, 306 megabits per second, at least for the upload, and then download 107, which is actually not bad depending on how many devices you have connected and what you're looking to do with your internet, depending on the speed that you're paying for through your ISP. But nonetheless, we can move forward to measuring the IP bandwidth with iPerf. So this tool is to be configured and used to measure the maximum available bandwidth on the IP network. So for this, I'm actually going to swivel over to DC01 and going to do a few things within there. So let's do command prompt. Right. Always run it as administrator, of course, as always. Okay. Hopefully it lets me type. Hmm. All right, perfect. As you can see, we're in. So I'm just going to tell it here. Listen. Now, this command, right? It's enabling the iPerf application to connect to hosts on the network to measure the available bandwidth between the hosts. And the application is going to listen on the default port of 5201, as you can see here, for any communication of devices on the network. So while it's doing that, I'll reconnect back to Win10. Then we can actually use the CMD here to get on the other side. Yes, of course. And we're going to pretty much do the same thing. We're going to run the same command. Okay, perfect. Now we're in. So let's do hyper 3 S allow. That's fine. I should have checked off the other boxes, but this is okay. And I'm going to swivel back over to DCL1. All right. And hmm, still listening. Stop it here. Okay. So it looks like we're still in. So I'm going to do this one here. All right. So what this command line does is it was used to measure the maximum achievable bandwidth between the hosts I mentioned, and as can be seen, the bandwidth available between the hosts is about 1.26 between 109 and 1.2636 kind of gigabytes per second. Well, it can vary based off of what you have going on in your network, of course. I'm going to run another test here. It's the reverse mode. So with the minus uppercase R parameter, this measures the client speed to send the data to the server, right? So I'm actually going to close this out, and I'm actually going to swivel back over here so I can close this out. So we can do some network protocol and port analysis. Now, to ensure the network is secure, right? Regular scans must be conducted to ensure no unnecessary ports are opened on servers, which I went over in previous videos, possibly exploited resources. In addition to ensuring the security of the network protocol, analysis software needs to be used to verify the different protocols used on the network. So what I'm going to do is a network port analysis, which can be used to verify specific ports are open on devices on the network, right? So it could be used to ensure communication between devices, right? For example, to verify that the correct ports are open on a web server, for instance, right? So we're actually going to, let's see, click here, should be here. Oh, must be location. There it is. Perfect. So we have ZenMap up and running. So let's get started with our target. I went over ZenMap before in a prior video. Then we're going to do an intent scan also for all TCP ports. All right. Now the scan may take a couple minutes, and there may be several open ports on the device, and it can be noted that usually when I run the scan, actually I can see it here, port 22 is actually open, which is used for secure shell connections to Linux devices, and is actually used to manage these devices here remotely. So I'm I'm actually going to see if the scan, I think it completed here. Well, I'm actually going to run another scan. Yeah, I'm actually going to do another scan plus UDP. And I'm actually going to change the target to here. So let's scan that. This one's going to include TCP and UDP protocols. And let's see what's open. Huh. Interesting enough, port 53 is open, which is used for DNS communication. Hmm. Okay. All right. So let's actually pivot over to using in terminal emulator software. So to successfully remotely manage networking devices across the different OSs, right? Terminal emulator software can be used, and most client devices on the network are Windows-based, which does not come natively installed with software to connect and manage Linux devices remotely. Third-party software is available to facilitate these connections here. So I'm just going to actually open up one of those here. Let's take a look here at MOBA. Maximize that. We're going to start our local terminal, right? Yep, there. All right. Okay, perfect. May ask for password. Get. Okay. No, we do not. All right. Perfect. Then we want to do option 8 for shell. And let's see, who am I? The great Dr. Mr. Robot episode entitled that. I recommend give it a watch. Um, so we're the root. So I see that I can exit out, right? And I can take a look at um, logging out secure shell only, right? I'm actually going to close out the window. I'm going to head out of here. Now that we've seen everything that we can do, right? And now we can take a look at IP analysis applications. So all devices on the network need an IP address to be able to communicate with other devices on the network. And the network admin needs to monitor the IP address allocation to devices on the network for security and availability, right? So what I'm going to do is an IP analysis application is I'm going to use it to scan the network to determine the devices on the network and the IP addresses allocated to the host. I'm actually going to do it on this scanner, this server here. So let's take a look at advanced IP scanner, right? And I'm actually going to put our IP here. Okay. Then I'm going to hit scan. Now the IP range was changed according to, not changed, but this isn't the typical IP that I use as far as the range. I changed it according to the network specification, and the range can be adjusted according to the IP address schema of the network that needs to be scanned, of course. So as we can see the results coming in of the advanced IP scanner window, so I'm actually going to right click here, take a look at our tools. Now the hosts that have been allocated an IP address in the range specified have been identified. And there is a host, which is the one I right clicked on that does not have a host name, and this might be a non-authorized device on the network. So I'm actually going to close that out. And again, this advanced IP scanner can be used to test connectivity to hosts as well on the network using the ping command line utility, which I just done. So I'm actually going to right click this one as well. Let's take a look at here. Let's actually shut it down. Okay, that's fine. All right, perfect. So, and it can also be used as an application for remote administrative tasks, for example, like restarting a device. But nonetheless, this brings us to the end of our of our video. As I mentioned, I'm just going to dive deep, but not super duper deep. But we went over a few things. We talked about Wi-Fi analysis software, network bandwidth analysis, network protocol and port analysis, as well as IP analysis applications as well, using a terminal emulator software and also scanning IP host IP allocation. Right. So this video was so much fun as far as network analysis software. The next video is going to actually be even more fun when we're actually configuring and maintaining DNS servers. I can't wait to see you there. Stay curious, stay secure.